The day before the modeling competition, I was locked inside my home when a sudden fire broke out. By the time I was rescued, my face was torn and lacerated, with extensive burns covering my body. Outside the operating room, my mother wept heart-wrenchingly, blaming herself over and over for accidentally locking the door. My fiancé mobilized every dermatologist in the city, vowing to restore my original appearance. Standing outside the operating room, I heard my mother's hesitant voice, "Yujo, even if it's to help Keek win the model competition, isn't it too much that we deliberately set the fire, locked the door, and burned Xiaoling beyond recognition?" Tang Yujo sneered, "If it weren't for Xiaoling's vanity and selfishness, I wouldn't have had to resort to this." Knowing full well that Keek has depression, she flaunted her good figure in front of her every single day. All she lost was a face and some skin. What Keek lost was her happiness. This is what she owes Keek. "Don't worry, I'll marry Xiaoling, with the status of Mrs. Tang, even if she becomes a sight that would scare off ghosts. No one will dare gossip. I'm being so good to her. She should be content. How is ruining my health and career supposed to be good for me?" I clenched my jaw so hard it ached, a chill and a sharp pain raging in my chest. I don't want any of them anymore, not the man I loved so deeply, not the mother who doted on me. Hold off on the surgery, have all the specialists wait outside. The doctor, who had just put on his gloves, looked astonished. "Mr. Tang, Miss Xie's burns are far too extensive, and her windpipe has been severely damaged by the smoke. If we don't operate immediately, she won't just lose her voice, her face and her skin will be ruined for good." Hearing this, my mother couldn't bear it. "Yujo, Xiaoling is hurt so badly. There's no way she can compete in the modeling competition tomorrow anyway. Maybe we should just let her have the surgery. So be it if she's ruined. If we operate now, given her vain and selfish nature, she'll find a way to sabotage Cuckoo's chances even if she can't win the crown herself. Only by leaving her in this half-dead state will she stop thinking about bullying Cuckoo. I'm doing this to temper her character. It's for her own good." He picked up a moist cotton swab and gently applied it to my chapped lips, yet his words cut straight to the heart of the matter. "I promised Coco that she would win this modeling competition. I won't let anyone stand in her way." My mother sighed softly and immediately instructed the doctor, "Please give my daughter something for the pain first, for the burns on her body and face. Just do a simple disinfection, be gentle. I don't want her to suffer too much." No one noticed how I trembled all over, as if a sudden, sharp blade had pierced my heart, the pain so intense it was almost suffocating. It turned out the fire was no accident at all. It was a scheme personally orchestrated by the man I had loved for years, all to clear me, this obstacle, out of the way for Xie Keek. Even my own mother, who had always doted on me, was an accomplice. They stood at the door, indifferent to my desperate cries for help from just beyond it, their minds filled only with a sense of relief that I was finally ruined. A sharp pain stabbed at my chest, and my throat, raw as if cut by a blade. Violently coughed up a mouthful of blood. Seeing this, Mom frantically reached out, only to find there was nowhere on my body she could touch. Her heart aching, she cried until her eyes were red, "My darling, Mama's here. Does it hurt terribly? Don't be afraid, Mama will always be with you." Tang Yujo exploded in a furious rage. "Where the hell is the dermatologist? If anything happens to my wife, I'll make sure this hospital is shut down for good." The doctor, who had already been warned, stammered a meek explanation. "Mr. Tang, we're pushing them, but there's been a traffic accident, their car is stuck, and the earliest they can get here is tomorrow." Tang Yujo kicked him out of the room. "Get out." Chapter 2. Chapter 2. He turned and crouched before me, his face etched with remorse. "Darling, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault for not getting here sooner, for letting you suffer so much. I promise you, whatever it takes, I will heal your skin and your face. I'll get you back on the runway." I watched his masterful performance with numb detachment, my voice bitter as I asked, "Can I really get better?" "You can, you will." His earnest hypocrisy made me look like a complete fool. To remove me, this obstacle, for Xie Keek's sake. The man who had been with me from school uniforms to wedding gowns and vowed to love me for a lifetime, used lie after lie to personally send me to my doom, and my mother, who had cherished and doted on me since I was a child, ultimately chose to raise the knife against me for the sake of Xie Keek, that two-faced adopted daughter. At this moment, I desperately wanted to demand of them, Why are you being so cruel to me? Every word froze and died in the icy depths of my heart. Several doctors approached with antiseptics, their faces etched with pity and sorrow at the sight of my horrific burns. Monsieur, one said, the dermatology specialist hasn't arrived yet. We'll have to start with a basic disinfection. Please try to bear with it. But the searing agony of the burns shot through my entire body. The moment the antiseptic touched my skin, it was like being thrown back into the flames. Fragile blood vessels ruptured, and the bed was soon covered in a mixture of blood and pus from my wounds. My mother watched the scene, her hand clamped tightly over her mouth as she trembled, choked by silent sobs. Tang Yujo's eyes were rimmed with red, his knuckles white as he clenched his fists. Wishing desperately he could bear the pain in my stead, their concern seemed so genuine, but I alone knew the truth. It was all a lie. Only lies and hurt are real. When I woke up again, 2 days had already passed. The sound of conversation between Tang Yujo and my mother came from outside the hospital room door. Yujo, Xiaoling's condition is already this severe. We've delayed for 2 days without the doctors treating her. Are we really going to give her the hospital's newly developed psychiatric medication? The doctor said this medication hasn't fully completed clinical trials. Potential side effects could include seizures and loss of bladder and bowel control. After a few seconds of silence, Tang Yujo's tone turned decisive. That's exactly the side effect I want. Today is Keek's celebration banquet, and many influential mentors will be there anyway. Xiaoling is already a shadow of her former self. A little more humiliation won't make a difference. Only by being stripped of all dignity will she stop competing with Keek. After tomorrow, I'll announce my marriage to her as a form of compensation. After speaking, he added carefully, Mom, have those specialist doctors wait outside the villa. As soon as the banquet ends, they can begin treating Xiaoling. Mom kept saying yes. I stared blankly at the ceiling, silent tears streaming down my face. It aggravated the festering wound on my face. A pain so sharp it felt like my heart was being torn apart, yet it was nothing compared to the agony in my chest. The two people closest to me knew full well how sickly I was as a child, and how much blood, sweat, and tears I poured into becoming a model, and yet, with a single, careless remark, they shattered my lifelong dream. If I had known it would come to this, I would have rather perished in the flames. The hospital room door opened. Seeing I was awake, Tang Yujo approached with tenderness in his eyes and handed me 2 pills. Darling, I just spoke with the doctor. This is a new painkiller the hospital developed, no side effects. It will spare you a great deal of suffering. I lowered my gaze to the 2 crimson pills, my throat feeling as if it were filled with rust. I spoke hoarsely, Ayu, the medicine is too bitter. I don't want to take it. Tang Yujo hesitated for only a moment before smiling and squeezing my hand. It hurts me to see you in pain every day. Could you bear to see your husband suffer like this? Be a good wife and do this for me, won't you? Think of it as sparing my heart. Chapter 3. With that, he didn't give me a chance to refuse, forcing the medicine to my lips. Be good, let your husband feed you. The pill was half pushed, half shoved into my mouth, a cloying bitterness spread, and a wave of dizziness washed over me. Tang Yujo seized the moment to grab my hand. Darling, today is Keek's celebration banquet. Her greatest wish is to earn your approval. If you don't attend, people will start rumors that you're narrow-minded and can't accept your adopted sister. I'll go, have my clothes ready. I knew Tang Yujo had prepared everything, leaving me no room to refuse. In that case, there's nothing more for me to say. Mom, who had just pushed the door open and entered, beamed with delight upon hearing this. My sweet girl, I knew you'd be the sensible one. Once Keek's celebration banquet is over, I'll personally officiate your and Yujo's wedding. I numbly withdrew my hand, my heart turning to ashes in that moment. The car soon arrived at the villa. I had just been helped out of the car when a barrage of camera flashes suddenly swarmed towards me. In a panic, I reached for my mother's hand, only to grasp at empty air. In my peripheral vision, I saw her hurry away with Keek in tow, not even sparing me a glance. My face was pale as I buried my head, pressing down hard on the hat atop it. Miss Xie, is it true that you were so afraid your sister would win the modeling competition that you set a fire to kill her, only to get burned yourself? Miss Xie, how can someone as vicious as you dare show your face at your own sister's victory celebration? Have you no shame? Miss Xie, You're so good at strutting your stuff on the runway, so why are you still afraid of losing to your sister? Is it because the sugar daddies you're servicing aren't satisfied? As he said this, the reporter who asked the question suddenly knocked the hat off my head. Instantly, a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. A face, horribly disfigured by fire, was suddenly exposed to the camera lenses. Oh my God, that's disgusting. Is that a monster? I'm gonna be sick. That's so damn ugly. It's like seeing a ghost in broad daylight. My heart started racing, and my vision began to blur and darken. But they weren't about to let me go. Several phones were raised at once, starting a live broadcast. The renowned model Xieling, a woman of vile character and malicious nature, deliberately set a fire intending to kill her own sister. She reaped what she sowed. I hear there isn't a patch of unblemished skin left on her body. Well then, let's all witness firsthand the consequences of evil deeds. People began to shove me, and I was knocked to the ground. The loose clothing on my body tore apart with the slightest pull. My arms were exposed. My thighs were exposed. My waist and abdomen were exposed. A hoarse, rasping cry tore from my throat. Suddenly, my hands and feet began to tremble uncontrollably. My entire body convulsed as if struck by an electric shock. The reporter clawing at me seemed to have struck gold, shouting excitedly, "She's having a seizure. This is perfect. Quick, get a close-up. This is all great footage." My eyes rolled back in agony, white foam spilling incessantly from the corner of my mouth. I knew the drug was taking effect, but I was utterly powerless to stop it. I felt like a clown stripped bare, my dignity being torn to shreds before them. Someone let out a sharp, startled cry. A rush of hot liquid spilled out from beneath me, instantly filling the air with a pungent, acrid smell. A wave of overwhelming shame choked off my tears, and I wished I could die right then and there. As they hurled insults and curses at me, camera flashes went off in a frenzy, aimed directly at my lower body. I lay there like a dead dog, utterly drained of any strength to fight back. What are you doing? Who gave you permission to take those pictures? Chapter 4. Tang Yuzhou erupted from the crowd in a fury, snatched the lead reporter's camera, and smashed it to pieces. "Get the hell out of here, all of you." My mother rushed over with a coat, frantically wrapping it around me as tears of distress streamed down her face. "Where are the security guards? Are you all just standing there? How did reporters get into this victory party? Every single one of you is fired." Standing to the side, Xie Keek put on a show, covering her mouth in feigned shock. "You're going too far. How could you treat my sister like this? You are absolutely not allowed to publish those photos you took today of her having a seizure and losing control of her bladder. How disgusting. That is truly revolting. If you want the championship, if you want to give all your love to Xie Keek, I can step aside and let you have it. Why are you doing this to me?" My mind was foggy. I let Tang Yuzhou kneel before me, tightly wrapping his hands around mine. "I'm sorry, my love. It's all my fault for not protecting you. I promise, from now on, I will never let you suffer the slightest grievance again. Let's get married right away." Okay, I wanted to say no, but the metallic, coppery taste rising in my throat spilled out first. Tang Yuzhou was splattered with my blood, his pupils contracting sharply as his face instantly turned deathly pale. Before my consciousness faded into darkness, I heard him and my mother shouting for a doctor in a panic. Her injuries were already severe, and too much time was lost. Combined with an overdose of psychotropic medication, the damage to her internal organs is critical. The surgery only has a 30% chance of success. Tang Yuzhou's voice trembled. "How could this happen? I don't care, if you can't save my wife. You'll all be buried with her." Tears fell onto the back of my hand as he sobbed uncontrollably. "Darling, we promised to be together forever. You can't leave me all alone." My mother knelt before the doctors, pleading, "Please, you have to save my daughter. Whatever it takes, I'd even give my own life in exchange." I closed my eyes heavily. Maybe it would be better to just die like this. When I woke up again, I was back in my own room. A faint murmur of conversation drifted in from the doorway. "Mom, if you transfer all of Dad's inheritance to me, do you think Sister will be upset when she finds out?" Her mother chuckled indulgently. "Whether she's upset or not is beside the point. Once she marries Yuzhou, she'll want for nothing. What does she need with this bit of money? Back when your father first passed, during the hardest time for our family, I came down with acute leukemia. It was you who gave me blood transfusions every day. you who donated your own bone marrow to save me. I swore to myself then that you would be my only true daughter for the rest of my life. Even giving you all this money, I still feel I owe you more. I know you have feelings for Yujo too. I've already spoken with him. Given your sister's condition, we can't rely on her to bear children on their wedding night. You will take her place in the bridal chamber. You will be the one to give Yujo his first child. Siekik replied with a bashful smile. I'll do whatever you say, Mom. Mom pushed the door open and met my wide-open eyes. A flicker of guilt crossed her face. She stammered, Sweetheart, since you've already heard, I won't hide it from you. The Tang family's business is vast. They need an heir. But don't worry, your position as the young mistress of the Tang family. I agree, I interrupted calmly. In my current state, it's not convenient for me to attend the wedding. Let Keek go in my place. Mom's face instantly lit up with a smile. My sweet girl. You've really grown up and become so much more sensible. Siekik swept a disdainful glance over my unsightly skin and said with feigned sincerity, Don't worry, sister, I'll take good care of your husband for you. Wearily, I turned my head away, unable to bear looking at them for another second. I just hope that when Mom learns the truth, she won't live to regret it. And what did her so-called precious daughter, the apple of her eye, do for her when she was diagnosed with leukemia? Chapter 5. The wedding was held at the villa. It was Siekik's idea. I know, she wanted me to watch, with my own eyes, as she took away everything I cared about, one by one. But I never imagined she could be this much more vicious than I thought. She pushed my door open, wearing an extravagant, exquisite wedding dress, yet her smile was sinister. Even a fire that big couldn't kill you. Xieling, you really are a lowlife with a stubbornly tenacious life. I didn't want to waste any more breath on her. You've already gotten everything you wanted. What more could you possibly want? She let out a scornful laugh. I want you dead, of course. Only when you're gone can I rightfully become Mrs. Tang. With that, she pulled out a lighter and set the curtains ablaze. The moment I saw the flames leap up, the color drained from my face. I tried to drag my broken body over to stop her, but she kicked me hard against the bedpost. She was the first to reach the door, where she began wailing at the top of her lungs. Tang Yujo rushed in almost the instant he heard the commotion. He held Siekik tightly, his voice laced with panic. Keek, what's wrong? Where are you hurt? Her mother was right behind him, even without seeing a single scratch on Siekik. She cried out in alarm, Get Keek to the hospital. Now, everyone crowded around Siekik. No one noticed that I was the one with blood streaming down my face from where she had crashed into me. Cowering in Tang Yujo's arms, Siekik's eyes were red and swollen from crying, as if terrified. Brother Yujo, I was just worried about my sister's mood and came to comfort her, but she said that since her face is ruined, why should I get to wear a wedding dress and look beautiful? She started a fire, saying she wanted to burn me beyond recognition too. I'm so scared. Tang Yujo's gaze toward me was practically shooting flames. Have you lost your mind? Coco was kind enough to help you through the wedding formalities, and instead of being grateful, you repay kindness with malice. Just look at the monstrous sight you are now. It turns my stomach. My mother's eyes were filled with utter disappointment. If I'd known you were such a habitual liar, that fire might as well have finished you off. Someone as vicious as you isn't fit to be my daughter. You're not even worth one of Coco's fingers. Getting burned like this is exactly what you deserve. They picked up Siekik and left without a backward glance. As he reached the doorway, Tang Yujo glanced back at the flames licking up the curtains and let out a cold laugh. Since you love playing with fire so much, you can have your fill. Lock the door. No one is to open it. The sound of my desperate pleas and explanations was cut off by the mercilessly slammed door. Hearing the frantic, hysterical pounding from inside, a flicker of unease showed in Mother's eyes. Yujo, are you sure nothing will happen to Xiao Ling if we just lock her in like this? What could possibly go wrong? She set the fire herself. You think she'd actually let herself burn? She must have had a fire extinguisher stashed away the whole time. Tang Yujo took Siekik straight to the hospital. Only after the checkup confirmed she was completely unharmed did he finally remember me. He sighed, opened his phone, and a breaking news alert about the fire at the Donglin Villa flashed across the screen. Frowning, he was just about to call the butler when the butler's call came through first. Have them release madam. I'm heading back now to take her on our honeymoon. I've already picked the place. It's in France, her favorite. The butler's voice trembled. Young master. There was a fire at the villa, madam. She couldn't be saved. The corridor fell deathly silent, as if even the air had frozen solid. Tang Yujo clenched his phone, his voice brimming with fury. Have you got a death wish? How dare you curse my wife? Hearing the voice on the phone, Siekik's eyes flashed with a fleeting glint of delight. She then offered a disingenuous word of comfort. Brother Yujo, don't worry. Sister must be angry that you confined her and is putting on an act with the butler to trick you. You know how she is. She lies habitually and loves using these despicable tactics to get your attention. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. If you ask me, you should send her off to some remote country and let her stew. Once she's suffered a bit, she'll realize how good you were to her. You shouldn't coddle someone like her, someone who doesn't know what's good for her. Listening to Siekik's incessant chatter, for the first time, Tang Yujo lost all patience. Shut your mouth. Since when is my marriage any of your business? He shook off Siekik's hand from his arm, stepped aside, and lowered his voice. Tell her I'm letting today's incident slide. Go release her now, when I get back. I'll bring her the plum blossom cakes from Gixiang's High that she loves so much, for over a decade. Plum blossom cakes from Gixiang's High have been our unspoken peace offering. Every time I was in a bad mood before, a single piece of his plum blossom cake was all it took to cheer me up. But it's been 2 years since I last had that cake. It's not that he never bought it again. It's just that every piece he bought went to comforting Siekik. He always says that Siekik is our adopted daughter, that she's fragile and sensitive and has depression, that I owe her, and that I should give in to her more, but I don't know, what exactly do I owe her? She lost her family because they committed a crime and died accidentally while fleeing, yet my own father sacrificed his life because of her, the daughter of a criminal. I gave up my mother, I gave up my husband, I gave up the dream I had worked for my entire life. I've even given up my life now, yet he finally remembered to try and win me back with a piece of plum blossom cake. How pathetic. The butler on the other end of the line frantically explained, Young master, I'm not lying to you. A fire broke out in the mistress's room. By the time we realized something was wrong and tried to open the door, it was too late. The fire in the villa is out of control now, and the firefighters are working desperately to put it out. Enough. Tang Yujo pressed his throbbing temples, his tone still icy and unyielding. I know she's angry that I locked her up. I've already agreed to let her out. How much longer is she going to keep this up? She started the fire herself. How could she be so stupid as to get herself killed in it? But what if I didn't start the fire? As this thought flashed through his mind, Tang Yujo's breathing suddenly became ragged, and his face paled several shades. All right, I'm coming home right now. He was about to hang up in a hurry when his mother snatched the phone from him. She wasn't as composed as Tang Yujo. The moment she spoke, her voice betrayed her panic. You're lying to us, aren't you? She must be angry about the hurtful things I said. Please tell Xiaoling that her mother didn't mean what she said in the room. I know I was wrong, and I'll go back right now to apologize to her. The butler was silent for a long moment. Knowing these two were stubbornly refusing to accept the truth, he could only sigh in resignation. Very well, I will convey the message. As if reassured, Mother forced a dry, brittle smile onto her face. I knew it had to be a joke. What kind of fire? With so many people in the villa, how could it possibly get out of control? That child, Xiaoling, really is a handful. Even after all those words meant to comfort herself, she didn't even notice the tremor in her voice, a tremor she couldn't possibly hide. Yujo, let's hurry back. It's your wedding day, so go and comfort Xiaoling. She's my only precious daughter, and I won't have her feeling wronged again. Tang Yujo nodded, his mind troubled. All right, I will. Siekik tried to follow them, but Tang Yujo stopped her. Go back to your own home. Xiaoling already dislikes you, and I don't want to upset her on our wedding day. His mother chimed in. That's right, Keek, you should head home. You've already taken the modeling championship from Xiaoling, so it's best you keep your distance from her from now on. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Siekik wanted to say more, but the two of them didn't even glance her way before turning and leaving. Furious, she gnashed her teeth, the facade of gentle sweetness completely gone from her face as she snarled viciously. Xiaoling, you persistent bitch, even in death you're trying to steal from me. On the drive back, his phone kept buzzing with live updates about the fire at the Eastwood Villa. The notifications nearly flooded the entire screen. Tang Yujo was in a daze. his knuckles white as he gripped the steering wheel. He ran countless red lights before finally making it back to the villa, but the moment he stepped out of the car, the sight before him made his legs buckle. The entire villa was engulfed in flames. The towering blaze lit up the daytime sky with a fiery, cloud-like glow. Countless firefighters in orange gear and medical staff in white coats rushed in and out. The servants sat collapsed on the ground, each one filthy and trembling uncontrollably. The butler, covered in dust and grime, pushed through the crowd. "Young master, you've finally returned." Tang Yuzhou, his reason completely gone, grabbed the butler by the collar. "Where's Xiaoling? Where is she?" The butler panicked, frantically pointing at the charred, blackened villa behind him. "We followed your orders and didn't open the door for madam. We kept hearing her pounding on the door until it finally stopped. We thought she had just worn herself out, but then, not long after, thick smoke started seeping through the cracks. That's when I knew something was wrong. The moment I opened the door, flames burst out. The entire room was an inferno. It was too late to put it out, and what's more," the butler stammered, too afraid to continue. Tang Yuzhou's heart began to race violently, a terrible premonition instantly washing over him. And what? The words had barely left his mouth when a deafening explosion suddenly rocked the air. Bang! The window exploded. A plume of black smoke, churning with a crimson mushroom cloud, erupted from the room I was in. Countless shards of glass and charred debris sprayed outwards. Tang Yuzhou watched the scene unfold before his eyes, feeling the blood in his veins run cold. "No, it can't be. Xiaoling wouldn't leave me. She can't be dead." His eyes wide with fury, he tried to charge into the villa but was held back by the butler. "Young master, calm down. If you go in now, you'll be walking to your death. The firefighters have confirmed it. Someone secretly placed over a dozen gasoline drums in the madam's room. Another explosion could happen at any moment." Tang Yuzhou's eyes were bloodshot, his entire body swaying unsteadily. A gasoline can. Why would there be a gasoline can in Xiaoling's room? It was as if he finally remembered. When he had entered my room earlier, he had vaguely caught a whiff of a strange smell, but had deliberately ignored it, his mind completely preoccupied with Xie. A wave of delayed, excruciating pain and regret washed over him. His strength gave out, and he collapsed to his knees. For the first time in his life, he understood with devastating clarity the true meaning of despair. When his mother arrived moments later and saw the villa reduced to a charred husk, she stood frozen in shock. In a panic, she grabbed a firefighter's arm. "My daughter, where is she? She's the lady of this house. Was she rescued? She's not well. A fire this big must have terrified her. I need to take care of her. Please, tell me where she is." The firefighter's heart sank. He let out a heavy sigh. "I'm so sorry. The fire originated in Miss Xie's room. We found numerous gasoline cans there. There have been multiple explosions. I'm afraid You're lying." The mother's eyes were rimmed with red. And as soon as she spoke, tears began to stream uncontrollably down her face. "My daughter is alive and well. Today is her wedding day. We promised we'd officiate the ceremony ourselves. She's such a good, obedient girl. She would never do anything to hurt me like this." Chapter 8. Gasping for breath, she saw the firefighter hanging his head in silence. She whirled around, found Tang Yuzhou, and began pummeling him with her fists in a blind, frantic rage. "It's all your fault. Why did you lock Xiaoling in that room after what the fire did to her? She's terrified of flames. How could she possibly be the one to set it? Give me back my Xiaoling. Give me back my daughter." Tang Yuzhou stood there like a walking corpse, numb and unresisting as he was shoved and struck. Many people rushed over to intervene. The mother wept bitterly, her cries raw and broken, until overwhelming emotion finally caused her to collapse into unconsciousness. Tang Yuzhou slowly, heavily raised his head, his gaze fixing on the inferno raging in the distance. It was as if the truth finally dawned on me at that moment. Ever since I was rescued from that sea of fire, even the faint flicker of a lighter triggers a panic response in me. How could I possibly be the one to set a fire? And besides, someone as terrified of fire as I am, why on earth would I keep so many gasoline cans in my room? Just then, a firefighter handed him a grimy voice recorder. "Mr. Tang, we found this in your wife's room, right by the bedside. I think she may have left a message for you in her final moments. See if it still works." Tang Yuzhou hastily took it, thanking him repeatedly. The moment he pressed play, all the strength drained from his body. The sound of his conversation with his mother outside the operating room, and how they plotted at my hospital room door to dose me with psychiatric drugs, then had reporters publicly humiliate me at Siekik's victory celebration. The final segment reveals the truth about Siekik's actions in my room before I died: the arson, the provocation, and the slander. He clutched the voice recorder tightly, his heart wrenched with agony. So, Xiaoling had known everything all along, even as she endured the agony of being burned to the bone by raging flames. He kept plunging the knife into her heart, inflicting wound after fatal wound. The sorrow and helplessness beneath that calm were not signs of newfound grace, but proof that her heart had died completely. That was the girl he had loved for over a decade, the one he had promised to never part from for a lifetime, to be cast into the inferno by him not once, but twice. Imagine the depth of her pain and despair. What on earth did he do? In an instant, Tang Yuzhou doubled over as if his spine had been shattered, curling into a ball of agony. As darkness fell, the great fire was finally extinguished. The air was thick with the smell of scorched things. The firefighters searched the entire villa, only to hand over a diamond ring in the end with profound regret. The assistant rushed over, clutching a thick stack of investigation documents, and said hesitantly, "Mr. Tang, you'd better brace yourself." Before Tang Yuzhou could take them, his mother, who had arrived unnoticed, snatched the documents away first. All the truths about how I had been bullied by Siekik over the years, along with the secret she had hidden for so long, were finally laid bare before their eyes. Siekik's biological parents were both human traffickers. They were killed in a car accident while attempting to flee during their arrest. Siekik recognized that the arresting officer was my father. She staged a scenario where she was being bullied and harassed, nearly getting abducted into an illegal establishment. Out of pity, my father ultimately adopted her, but she was a venomous snake lying in wait. During my father's undercover operation, she deliberately shouted on the street that he was a police officer. My father was gunned down by the criminals in a hail of bullets. Yet, with innocent, teary eyes, she turned the tables and claimed that I, driven by vanity and a desire to show off having a cop for a dad, had put her up to it. My mother never said it out loud, but she secretly harbored resentment towards me. During the time she was battling leukemia, I secretly donated blood and bone marrow for her. Yet, Siekik ran off with the compensation money Dad had sacrificed his life for. Later, when Mom recovered and I was about to marry Tang Yuzhou, the president of Tang Corporation, she came back home, using her depression and fear of being a burden as an excuse. Chapter 9. In any place unseen by human eyes, I was pushed down the stairs. My wrist was suddenly slashed by a sharp scissors in the dead of night, a vase falling from the sky. For all these years, everyone took her word as gospel, while branding me as vain and selfish. They favored Siekik as a matter of course. The slightest hint of emotion from me would be labeled as malicious and petty, culminating in endless silent treatment. What's more, Siekik's depression was all an act. In private, she was a bully, promiscuous, and had even trafficked over a dozen children and young women. Those words of mine, explained time and again only to be met with cold indifference, have finally, like bullets fired from a chamber, struck them right between the eyes. All these years later, the mother wept until she nearly fainted, collapsing to her knees on the ground. "My daughter, I was wrong, I'm so sorry." Tang Yuzhou swayed as he stood up. He carefully dried the ring with his sleeve, placed it in his pocket, and then calmly instructed his assistant to take his mother home. He then made a call to Siekik. The next day, news of Siekik being burned to death in the suburbs trended on social media. When the police arrived, there was only a charred and disfigured corpse. According to the forensic investigation, before her death, Siekik was doused in gasoline and set on fire. The flames were extinguished with a fire extinguisher only when she was on the brink of death. After a short while, she was doused in gasoline and set alight again. This cycle repeated over 10 times before she was finally burned to a crisp. It would be more accurate to say she died from excruciating pain rather than from the burns themselves. As the nurses were eagerly discussing the news, I was lying on the operating table, undergoing my 6th skin graft surgery. The teacher stood by my side, her eyes filled with pity and concern. "Are you scared?" I shook my head, having narrowly escaped death in a sea of flames twice. There was nothing left in this world that could frighten me. There was a huge fire on my wedding day. If my mentor hadn't seen the news, worried about me, and flown back overnight from abroad, I would have been a charred corpse by now. My mentor's eyes shone with pride. Xiaoling, you are my most accomplished student. I look forward to seeing you shine at the International Supermodel competition in 6 months. Thanks to the doctor's dedicated treatment, 6 months later, I successfully stood on the supermodel runway. I didn't let my teacher down. The moment I stood on the podium holding the championship trophy, it felt like all the stars in the world were shining for me. Overwhelmed by endless flowers and applause, I was moved to tears of joy. Just when I thought Tang Yuzhou and I would remain strangers for the rest of our lives, he appeared again, completely out of the blue. Stepping off the runway, I said goodbye to the last fellow competitor who had congratulated me on my win. I turned and saw Tang Yuzhou standing in the night, shrouded in the chill wind. Unshaven and haggard, he looked at me with a nervous, ingratiating smile. Xiaoling, I've come to take you home. He fished from his pocket the diamond ring I had deliberately thrown into the fire. Look, I still have the ring. Let's go back and have the wedding again. I'll give you a new one, bigger and more magnificent than before. We'll have it at the beach, your favorite spot. His eyes were filled with such deep emotion that he even moved himself with his own words. I let out a bitter, mocking laugh. If you had even a shred of conscience or shame left, you wouldn't dare ask me to marry you again. Do you have any idea how many skin graft surgeries this face, this entire body, has been through 18 times? With every cut of the blade, I told myself once more, I have you to thank for all of this. Shattered and broken, Tang Yuzhou's tears of remorse hit the ground. Xiaoling, I know my crimes deserve death 1,000 times over. I don't beg for your forgiveness. I only ask for one chance to make it right. Please, the best way you can make it right is to leave my world. Never let me see you again. After a long silence, Tang Yuzhou's shoulders finally slumped in defeat. A bitter, self-mocking smile touched his lips. You're right, as I am now, I don't deserve to stand by your side. Don't worry, I won't trouble you again. Half a month after Tang Yuzhou left, I received news from back home. My mother had taken her own life with pills at home. When she was found, she was holding a photo of me from my childhood. I wired a large sum of money to the best funeral home in the country to ensure my mother's final arrangements were handled properly. Tang Yuzhou turned himself in at the police station, confessing to the crimes of setting the fire that injured me and later killing Xie Qik. He was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve. 2 years later, I received a suicide note and a vast inheritance delivered by a lawyer. Without even glancing at it, I tore the note to shreds and threw it in the trash. He turned around and donated the entire inheritance to the International Disability Charity. In the years that followed, my life blossomed with the dawn, as radiant as the stars and the moon. Story 2, in the most difficult time, I broke up with Fu Ci. When we met again, he had already become the president of the largest entertainment company in the industry, and there was a new female companion by his side. So, when he awarded the prize that belonged to me to the popular young actress Song Yaro again, I announced my retirement from the entertainment industry. I calmly deactivated all my public accounts and disappeared from the public eye ever since. It was not until the next year that my manager found my draft folder. It recorded my illness and an expired love letter that I hadn't had the chance to send out in high school. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Sister Mion, don't be too sad. This award isn't that important anyway. Let Song Yaro have it. Yeah, the Best Actress award next year is the crucial one. It will definitely be yours. The girl on the stage took the trophy with a beaming smile. When giving her thanks, she mentioned Fu Ci. Mr. Fu has often helped me when I was at my lowest. To me, he is more than just my benefactor. The meaning of confession in her words was quite obvious. Even the cameraman was excited about them. When Song Yaro received the award, the big screen switched to Fu Ci. On the screen, Fu Ci's features were cold and aloof. He was wearing a well-fitted high-end black suit, which made him look solemn and rigid. However, the faint smile at the corner of his eyes somehow gave the impression that the flower on the mountain top was descending from its pedestal. There were waves of cheers from the audience. The president and his awarded actress are such a great couple. He has been looking at Song Yaro the whole time and didn't even glance at his phone once. If this isn't real love, what is? Song Yaro's eyes flickered slightly, and she tightened her grip on the microphone. If possible, I hope to walk the future path with him. The eyes of the audience present were all focused on Fu Xi's expression on the big screen. He nodded slightly, as if making a promise. The smile in Song Yaro's eyes grew even wider. When she stepped down from the stage holding the trophy, Fu Xi went to meet her in person, but the evening dress was too long, and she had some trouble walking, so she looked at the man beside her with a pitiful expression. The man picked up the girl and carried her down the stairs in full view of everyone. The girl nestled shyly in his arms, but once out of the camera's view, Fu Xi's expression turned cold. He seemed more absent-minded. I didn't have the time to care. I gritted my teeth. The bones in my body started to ache again. They stepped down from the stage amidst the hubbub. While I quietly left from the back door, I took a deep breath by the window in the corridor. The corners of my lips slowly curved into a relieved smile. Such an ending wasn't too bad. Why should we torture each other until the last moment? So, I took out my phone and sent my last Weibo post, due to personal reasons. This account will no longer be updated. Finally, I wish everyone a long and healthy life. The accompanying picture was the retirement statement from the entertainment industry that I had prepared long ago. My retirement statement was drowned out by the trending topics of Fu Xi and Song Yaro's award ceremony. Before the award ceremony, Fu Xi and Song Yaro had been on the trending list many times, having meals together and going shopping together. He gave all the best resources to Song Yaro. He also gave her all his favoritism and exceptions. Everyone thought that Song Yaro and Fu Xi must be together, and I, the heartless woman who had abandoned him when he was at his most difficult time, deserved to have my resources snatched away from me time and time again. But no one knew that the night before, Fu Xi had kept me tossing and turning in bed all night long. I passed out several times due to exhaustion. He forcefully kissed me awake and made me look at him. What's wrong? You were the one who begged to come back a year ago. And now you won't even say a word to please me. He bit my neck fiercely. Sue Mion, whether it was before or now, is it really that hard to hear you say you love me? Fu Xi and I broke up in our senior year of college. To be exact, I broke up with him without hesitation during the difficult time when his parents passed away. And a year ago, after a banquet, I offered myself to him, and we got back together. I was a has-been actress. He was the president of the largest entertainment company at present. He hated me. Even when he was drunk, he would still talk about the time I abandoned him. When he woke up the next day, he was a bit surprised to see me in his bed, but there was more sarcasm in his eyes. Sue Mion, we haven't seen each other for a few years, and you've learned to climb into the bed of an investor. Aren't you afraid that I'll put your current appearance on the trending list right now? I endured the pain. Fu Xi, I apologize to you for what happened back then, but I really need the leading lady role in Director Zhong's movie this time. I'm willing to agree to any request. Fu Xi was silent for a long time. In the end, he only said 2 words, get back together. The moment I agreed, I had my own selfish motives. I also wanted to be with him during my last days. I got the leading lady role as I wished. Director Zhong was also very happy. This role was originally reserved for you. Nowadays, these popular actresses can't portray the feeling I want. Only you can do it. However, your illness. Director Zhong was the first person in the industry to know that I had bone cancer. We had collaborated on many movies, although we didn't explicitly say it. Our relationship was more than that of an ordinary director and an artist. When she looked at me, her eyes were filled with worry. I didn't want to make her worry, so I lied to her. The doctor said it was discovered early and can still be treated. It won't be a problem. That's good. If you don't feel well, you must tell me. I'm still looking forward to our next collaboration after this movie is done. Okay, I lied to her again. This movie was probably the last one in my life. During the 3 months of filming, Fu Xi often came to visit the set. He would also pick me up and take me home on time after my work was done. After several times, Director Zhong finally couldn't help asking me, Xiao Mion, is Mr. Fu your boyfriend? I looked at the young man who was just like the one waiting for me after class in college and smiled gently. Yes, he is my boyfriend, Director Zhong said with emotion. That's great. Now there will be someone to support you in this industry, and I can rest assured, during the time we just got back together, I was really happy. I thought that God had finally shown me some mercy, at least. I could be with him during my last days, until one day, a video suddenly broke out online. It showed that 5 years ago, I climbed into the bed of the producer to get my first role. The video was in high definition and without any censorship. Fiancé cancelled the meeting and rushed back home. When I got home, there were cigarette butts on the floor, one after another, and they hadn't been stomped out. Do you have anything to say to me? 5 years ago was the day when I broke up with him. I didn't blame him. Anyone would think that I broke up with him, a down-and-out poor guy, just to get close to a wealthy patron. No, I said indifferently. He grabbed my shoulders like a madman and questioned me. Soo Mi-yeon, do you have a heart at all? You won't even lie to me. And I was as numb as a doll. He left. He didn't come back all night. Early the next morning, this trending topic was suppressed. A new trending topic topped the list. Fiancé, president of Xingmian culture, and popular actress Song Yao are suspected to be in a relationship. Fiancé didn't mention breaking up with me. But from then on, any announcements that were supposed to be for me would eventually be cancelled for various reasons. As time went by, no one came to me anymore, and this award was something I had been striving for. Some time ago, a movie I had filmed before was released, and there was a lively discussion about my acting skills. Among the overwhelming news about Fiancé and Song Yao, my fans stood up and expressed their indignation for me. Some fans released a collection of my acting skills over the years, and it happened to be just before the Starlight Award selection. Everyone thought that this award would finally go to me, but unexpectedly, I only got a nomination. Song Yao's acting skills don't deserve this award. I don't believe there's no insider dealing. I heard that the judge of this award has some connection with Fiancé. It seems that he shows too much favoritism to his girlfriend. They are in a relationship that everyone knows about. Although I also hope that Soo Mi-yeon can get this award. The setting of the president and his artist is really exciting, but I still feel sorry for Soo Mi-yeon. She has been working hard since her debut but hasn't won any important awards. Wasn't there a scandal about her before? She was involved with the young master of the now-defunct Hua family. There aren't many clean people in the entertainment industry. Has Soo Mi-yeon retired from the entertainment industry? Is it true or false? I guess she's disappointed with the entertainment industry. The award she had been working hard for was taken away through insider means. I would also retire if I were in her place. I silently scrolled through all the comments on the trending topics. Fiancé, I wish you eternal happiness in the place where you shine brightly. I went to the hospital and completed the procedures for chemotherapy and hospitalization. When I was paying, I connected to the internet, and messages popped up one after another. Fiancé, Soo Mi-yeon, it's just an award. Are you really going to retire from the industry because of it? Lin Koo, are you really planning to retire? Fiancé is just having a fling with Song Yao. You are the person he has liked since high school, now that you've reconciled. Your development in the entertainment industry is surely promising. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my arm, my knuckles lost their strength, and my phone dropped to the ground. I endured the pain and picked it up. The screen of the phone reflected my current face. A pale and ugly face without makeup. I was silent for a long time. I still didn't reply to these messages. I deactivated all my public accounts. I only left a private account to which I hadn't added anyone. I originally thought that in my last days, I would spend the rest of my life quietly, but unexpectedly, just as I went downstairs to buy some daily necessities, Fiancé appeared. His eyes were fixed on my hospital gown. Soo Mi-yeon, what are you doing in the hospital? His expression seemed to be a mix of nervousness and accusation. When I went to the hospital for the first time because of the bone pain, Fiancé had the same expression. That was in our junior year of college. We were both very poor at that time. He was very afraid that I would die, especially afraid that I would die because of poverty, because his mother and sister had both left this world due to a lack of money for medical treatment. At that time, the doctor didn't diagnose bone cancer. We both breathed a sigh of relief. But this time, I wasn't so lucky. For a moment, the defense line in my heart was on the verge of collapsing. From the moment I was diagnosed with bone cancer until now, I had been trying my best to accept this fact and face life and death calmly. But at the moment I saw him in the hospital, I realized that I had never really let go. I was afraid of death. I was afraid that he would know about my death. I wanted to live. I really wanted to live. Why are you crying? Fiancé frowned, and his expression was flustered for a moment. He instinctively reached out to wipe the tears from the corner of my eye. Sister Mion, are you sick too? Song Yao trotted over from a distance and naturally took Fu Xi's arm. Fu Xi withdrew his hand. Song Yao looked at me with concern. I know the doctor's here. Do you need me to find a more authoritative doctor for you? You and Ci are high school classmates. If you need any help, don't hesitate to ask. The appearance of Song Yao immediately brought me back to my senses. I looked at Song Yao. Congratulations on winning the Starlight Award. Song Yao's expression was a bit uncomfortable. Sister Mion, oh, Ci, let's go in first. We might be photographed at the entrance, and God knows what rumors will spread. Fu Xi nodded and pressed the remote control. The black Ferrari 458 in the distance flashed twice. He had changed his car. The moment I turned around and walked into the hospital holding my things, Fu Xi suddenly grabbed my wrist. Before I could pull my hand back, he read the words on my hospital bracelet in a trembling voice. Bone cancer. Song Yao also covered her mouth in surprise. Fu Xi's emotions gradually collapsed. I forcefully pulled my hand back and smiled. I said I was going to use this reason to retire from the industry. What do you think? Judging from your expression now, you seem to believe it. Since even you believe it, the netizens will probably believe it too. Fu Xi still didn't fully believe it. Song Yao spoke up at the right time. Sister Mion, at least you should shave off your beautiful long hair, or it will look too fake. I smiled and arranged my shiny black hair. Yeah, I forgot about that. Fu Xi's expression changed from nervousness to anger. Su Mion, you're really good at pretending. Fu Xi and Song Yao went in. They were heading towards the obstetrics department. It was in the opposite direction of my inpatient department. I went back to my ward and took off my wig. The little girl in the next bed looked at the wig I put aside. Sister, can I borrow your wig to wear? I heard from the nurse that this girl, who was 15 or 16 years old, was in the late stage of bone cancer. Just like me, I nodded and handed the wig to her. She carefully put it on her head, and her already small head looked even smaller. She parted the hair by her ear, revealing her delicate little face. She picked up her phone and took several photos with a smile. She looked very beautiful. This way, my mom won't worry about me. Sister, thank you. The pain of chemotherapy almost drove me to the brink of collapse. I didn't know how many times I had cried in the dark. The little girl in the next bed saw that I was in so much pain and tried to find topics to talk to me. Sister, do you know Song Yao, who is very popular now? I've often seen her in the news recently. She and Fu Xi are really in love. They are exactly the kind of love I dream of. In my next life, I also want to have a relationship like theirs. By the way, I heard that he has an ex-girlfriend, and it was exposed. Do you know about it? I was taken aback for a moment, then I shook my head. Oh, but that's all in the past. I don't know why the netizens still keep bringing it up. The little girl went for an examination after saying that. I finally couldn't help it and logged into my private account. No one knew about this account, and I only followed Fu Xi. I clicked on the trending topics, and the netizens were in an uproar. I saw Su Mion in the hospital last time. Her hair is still as long as before. She doesn't look like she's having chemotherapy at all. People who make jokes about cancer will definitely get cancer themselves in the future. Why doesn't she just die? You guys still remember that someone said Fu Xi dated her in high school, but the trending topic was removed quickly. She probably saw how affectionate Fu Xi and Song Yao are and is using the pitiful act on purpose. I feel sorry for Song Yao. Fu Xi should keep his eyes open. Judging from Fu Xi's attitude, it's probably over. Su Mion will definitely be discharged from the hospital soon and then cling to another man. Our Su Mion isn't that kind of person. She has already retired from the industry. Can you stop targeting her like this? I didn't expect that at this time. The only ones who would speak up for me were my fans, but now, I couldn't even step forward to speak for them. The effect of the chemotherapy wasn't good. The doctor gave some suggestions, and I decided to go home. There wasn't much time left, so I wanted to see the world again. When I left, I added the little girl next door on my contact list. We made an agreement that I would send her photos and postcards from every place I visited. The world is big enough. It has prepared everything for a person on the verge of death. I returned to the city where I went to high school. The city is small, the streets are small, but it's lively. There is a park next to the high school. Since it's just the beginning of the spring semester, there aren't many people in the park, and it's rather desolate. I wrapped my coat tightly and walked in according to my memory. The wild grass and vines are lush and free. The old cypress tree near the high school has become even thicker. I sat on the chair, listened to the leaves rustling in the wind, and felt the sun slowly moving along its eternal path. In the silence of the whole park, time seemed to stretch, and life also seemed to be extended. Once, when I had nowhere to go after school every day, I would come here and wander around for a while. Here, I seemed to feel that I wasn't that lonely. And I knew that every time at this moment, fiancé was also there. He was in a corner where I couldn't see, silently accompanying me. With him there, I knew that I wasn't alone. I also knew that he felt that he wasn't alone either. Perhaps this is the meaning of companionship, making two children who had never been loved since childhood feel warm. I stretched out my hand to block the sunlight, because I took the painkillers. The bone pain subsided, but my body became numb. It wasn't as warm as when the sunlight used to shine on my arm. I squinted my eyes, and a familiar figure seemed to appear in my sight. I thought it was my hallucination, but as the figure got closer, I realized it wasn't. fiancé, I tentatively asked. Fiancé sneered. So, you retired from the industry and came here. I barely managed to pull out a smile. I had nowhere else to go. Don't I always come here? I was afraid that if I stayed a little longer, he would notice something was wrong. I got up and wanted to leave, but he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Why are you in such a hurry to run away? Are you feeling guilty? I still didn't dare to look at him. Fiancé became even angrier. Sumion, since you still plan to leave now, why did you come back in the first place? It seemed that I couldn't leave for a while. I calmly replied to him. I was short of money, so I came to you. Now that I'm not short of money anymore, I'm leaving. I looked at him with a cold smile. You traveled over 300 kilometers just to ask me this question. Fiancé, is it that you still can't let go of me? I'm engaged to Song Yao. My heart ached sharply. Then I wish you all the best. Is there nothing else you want to say to me? He stared at me, not missing the slightest change in my expression. I don't have the money to give as a wedding gift now, but if you want to invite me to be a bridesmaid when you get married, I can consider attending. Fiancé suddenly pinched my face. Fiancé, instead of you blocking my way in the industry, it's better for me to retire voluntarily. Isn't it more time-saving and effort-saving? You know I've always been like this. I will stop the loss in time before things get to the worst. Wasn't I the same back then? Instead of wasting time and money on you in the end, it's better for me to find a richer man while I'm still young. It's just that I miscalculated. You're actually so rich now. If I had known earlier, I would have stayed with you, wouldn't I? What happened back then was like a wound that had scabbed over but never fully healed for Fiancé, and I just wanted to tear off that scab and let the wound be exposed naked in the air. Fiancé let go of me, and his hand hanging by his side clenched tightly. He said clearly word by word, since you regret it, then come back. I could hardly believe what he was saying. Sumion, do you think you can live a relieved and comfortable life after retiring from the industry? The things you've done and the mistakes you've made should torture you every minute and every second of every day. With red eyes, he looked at me sarcastically. You were the lowly mistress that you once hated the most. I pushed him away, and my whole body was almost trembling. Fiancé, do you have some perverted hobby? You got back together with me but were still entangled with Song Yao. Now that you're finally with Song Yao, you're still thinking about me. 5 days. Fiancé looked up at me. You stay here with me for 5 days, and I'll let go of all the things in the past. Your 5 days for my 5 years. Okay, just 5 days. I knew very well that he was like this now just because of his obsession in the past. He wanted me to be as humble as he was, to be so lowly that he could look down on me, to make him regret spending so much time on me, and to make him glad that I left back then. Since that's the case, let it be that I'm accumulating some merit for the next life before I die. Fiancé took me to the rental house where we used to live. It was less than 60 square meters. He had bought the whole building, and the furnishings in that room were still the same as before. The furniture was old and shabby, the air conditioner was covered with dust, but the double bed in the bedroom was very clean, as if someone had been living there often. My old rabbit doll was still placed on the bed. Fiancé's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and turned off the phone. I consciously sat on the bed, turned on the air conditioner, and unbuttoned my clothes. What are you doing? Fiancé, don't you want me to be your lover for these 5 days? Aren't I doing what a lover should do? Fu Si caught a glimpse of my protruding bones and looked away. You've really done a lot to fit the persona. I raised my eyebrows and looked at him. Seeing how pitiful I am, can you be a bit gentler at night? Fu Si got up in disgust. I'm going out to buy something. Only then did I put on my coat. When Fu Si went out, he even locked the door from the outside. I smiled bitterly and took another painkiller from my bag. It hadn't been long since I took the last painkiller. It seemed that the medicine was becoming less and less effective. When Fu Si came back, he bought a lot of groceries. There were fish, meat, vegetables. And there were also potted plants, slippers, toothbrushes, for 5 days. There's actually no need to buy so much. Fu Si stared at the things in the bag. Anyway, it doesn't cost much. Yeah, Fu Si was no longer the young man who used to live frugally in the rental house. He was rich now. He had a lot of money. He rolled up his sleeves and went into the kitchen. I sat on the chair outside the kitchen playing with the sunflowers he had just bought. I would look into the kitchen from time to time. The man's figure had become much broader, but his proficiency in cooking hadn't decreased at all. In the past, I would always go in at this time and hug him from behind. Then he would pick up a piece of freshly stir-fried meat, blow on it, and put it into my mouth. Be careful, it's hot. At that time, although we were poor, he took good care of me. In order not to waste the ingredients, he cooked the meat very deliciously. And all of it went into my mouth. But now, I just calmly retracted my gaze. Su Mion. Come and help. Fu Si called me into the kitchen. A plate of stir-fried shredded pork with green peppers had just been cooked. He picked up a piece of shredded pork and held it in front of my mouth. His tone was cold. Try it and see if we need to add anything. No need. I turned my head away. I'm not picky about food. Fu Si's hand hung in the air. After a while, he threw the chopsticks into the trash can together. That's right. These 5 days passed very peacefully. Every morning, Fu Si would go to the breakfast shop downstairs to buy breakfast and groceries, and then come back to cook for me. His way of cooking was the same as before, but the taste had eventually changed. Since Fu Si took away my phone, most of the time I would read books or sleep in the room. Occasionally, I would play with the little wild cat that jumped onto the window. At night, although I lay on the same bed as Fu Si, nothing happened. We would just quietly listen to each other's breathing and fall asleep. But I knew that with my illness, I probably wouldn't last a few more days. On the last day, I took the initiative to say, Fu Si, let's go out for a walk. Let's go and have a look at the high school campus. Fu Si looked at me quietly for a long time before saying, okay. It was Sunday. The high school was on holiday. There were still a few students studying by themselves in the classroom. Fu Si returned my phone to me, and I took a lot of photos along the way. We walked slowly on the road, feeling the sunlight and the breeze. I couldn't help but think of the past. Fu Si and I were in different classes in high school, but we were on the same floor. He was a troublemaker in the class. He had done everything like fighting and skipping classes, and I was the most taciturn one in the class. Because of my family situation, no one was willing to be friends with me. When I was hiding in school and didn't dare to go home, I would run into Fu Si who was in detention. He would have different injuries on his face every day, but even so, he still had a victorious attitude, perhaps out of tacit understanding and dependence, almost every day after school. I would secretly look forward to him being there. When he was there, I would feel safe, and he was there every day for 3 years, until one day, the class found out that I called the police to report that my second uncle had violated me. But in their eyes, this matter was more like a topic of conversation. Uncle-nephew incest. It's so exciting. Yeah, were you enjoying it at that time? You didn't call the police until you had enough fun, did you? Ha ha ha. I was so angry that I wanted to cover their dirty mouths. Instead, they got even more excited and splashed a basin of water on me, seducing with a wet body. Won't your second uncle like you even more? I didn't understand. I wasn't the one who did something wrong. Why did everyone think it was my problem? Fu Si had just come back from a fight. When he heard the commotion in our class, he rushed in and punched that person. He took me away and asked me, do you want to live with me? Sensing my fear, he stuffed a knife into my hand. If you're not at ease, you can keep this knife with you. I nodded. Since then, I had been with him. We changed from 2 people snuggling up to each other to a couple who knew and loved each other, until I was diagnosed with bone cancer. Since it all started here, let it end here. Fu Ci picked up a pen that another student had dropped on the ground. I suddenly stopped. Actually, I know that you would wait for me here every day after school. Then you would follow me and send me home. I took a deep breath and faced him directly. Fu Ci, I know all of this. He clenched the pen tightly and held his breath as he looked at me. Su Mion, what do you want to say? I endured the pain and said, Fu Ci, the 5 days are up. We're really over. For the sake of never seeing each other again, there's something I want to tell you. I've never said I love you because I really don't love you. With a snap, Fu Ci broke the pen in his hand. His eyes immediately turned red. Su Mion, what are you talking about? I looked at him with great calmness. I don't love you. I've never loved you. If you have any self-respect, please stop pestering me. Okay. The bones all over my body started to ache again. I ran out of the school gate. Before long, Fu Ci caught up with me. He grabbed my hand forcefully and forced me to stop. Since you didn't say it before, why are you saying it now? I lowered my eyes and smiled. Probably my conscience finally caught up with me. Seeing you care about the past, I still feel a bit sorry for you. I couldn't see his expression clearly at the moment, but I could see his hands hanging down and trembling. Fu Ci, I once used you to get rid of my family. Later, when you had no more value for me to use, I chose to leave you. I've been lying to you from beginning to end. Before I could finish speaking, a truck suddenly rushed over on the road. The sound of the horn was ear-piercing. The truck is out of control. Get out of the way. My legs suddenly twitched, and the pain was so intense that I couldn't move at all. Seeing the truck getting closer and closer, for a moment, I suddenly thought that it would be okay to die like this. At the critical moment, Fu Ci suddenly pushed me away. I fell heavily to the ground and lost consciousness. I didn't know how long I was in a coma. When I woke up, the smell of disinfectant filled the air. The president of a well-known entertainment company was in a car accident and is still being rescued. The popular actress Song Yaro is by his side and never leaves. At this time, the nurse came over to change my dressing. I grabbed her and asked, "Where's Fu Ci, mister? Fu is out of danger. Don't worry. But as for your body, the cancer has spread throughout your body. We don't know when it will." I held her hand and pleaded, "Please keep it a secret for me. Thank you so much." I asked about Fu Ci's ward. When I got there, he had already woken up. Song Yaro was by his side. "You're still worried about Su Mion. She's fine. You should take good care of yourself. The media outside are all asking how you got injured. Ci, won't you stop torturing yourself even now? She doesn't love you. Everyone can tell that she doesn't love you. What are you still deceiving yourself for? The public opinion is really fierce now. It's only a matter of time before they dig out your past with Su Mion." Fu Ci's pale lips moved slightly. "Tell them to remove it. The doctor has already been arranged. Ci, let's go back for treatment." "Okay." Fu Ci's gaze turned towards the door of the ward. I instinctively hid behind the door. "Fu Ci, I've looked at you countless times out of the corner of my eye. How could I not love you?" Fu Ci didn't come to see me until he was transferred to another hospital. He also didn't ask for any news about me again. That's probably for the best. I took out my phone and sent the photos taken at school to the little girl. Half an hour later, the little girl's mother messaged me back. "I'm Xiaohan's mother. Xiaohan has gone to heaven. She was still thinking about you before she left and said that if you sent a message, I should reply for her. She said that she will bless you in the sky to live as long as possible. You should also take good care of yourself." I looked up at the sky. The sky was endless and vast enough to hold everything. I replied, "You take care too." There were many photos in my phone taken before I started chemotherapy. I was very beautiful and dazzling in those photos. There were also a few photos of Fu Ci that I secretly took. I found a nearby photo studio. When I went to print my own funeral photo, I printed those photos of him as well. Fu Ci and Song Yaro's engagement ceremony was grand and stayed at the top of the trending list for several days. At the same time, I received a strange text message on my phone. "As you wish, I will let go. I also hope you are well." I copied the text message into the draft box and then wrote below, "Yeah, no matter where I am, I will also wish you happiness and well-being." I scrolled up. The Weibo draft box of this private account was almost full. Since I left Fu Ci, the changes in my illness every day, my daily life, and every bit of my past memories with Fu Ci that came to my mind were all recorded here. However, none of them were posted, no one knew about them, and after I die, no one will see them either. the painkillers no longer worked, but the closer I got to the end, the more I felt that there were many things I hadn't had the chance to do yet. The raccoon cat that often came to me for food hadn't been fed. I didn't know if anyone would take care of it after I left. I also didn't know who I should give my funeral photo to. It seemed that giving it to anyone would bring bad luck. Should I give it to my manager, or to Director Zhong? Just as I was hesitating, Director Zhong suddenly called me. I finally got in touch with you, Xiaomian. Where are you now? I'm coming to find you. Director Zhong said that she saw the news about Fu Ci and was worried about my feelings, so she took the initiative to contact me despite our agreement. Don't blame me, I've held back from contacting you many times. It's just that Director Zhong looked at my emaciated appearance and couldn't hold back her sobs. She hugged me and cried bitterly. Why did this happen to you? Why? I patted her back. I didn't want you to come to me because I was worried you'd be like this. But I'm really happy that you're here now. I thought I was brave, but when it really came to this moment, I found that I'm still selfish and want you by my side. I haven't had any work in the past 2 months. Can I stay with you? I nodded. Okay. However, I didn't have 2 months left. Director Zhong stayed with me, found an adopter for the raccoon cat, and took over all the flowers and plants I had grown, saying that she liked them and would take care of them. She pushed me outside to bask in the sun every day, but I slept more and more, and the time I was awake became less and less. I didn't know how long I could hold on. Director Zhong always patiently stayed by my side. If I slept for a long time, she would try to wake me up. Ian. I called her by her name for the first time. She was a bit surprised. I've always called you Director Zhong before. I'm trying calling you Ian for the first time. I actually don't have many friends. In my final days, besides you, there's no one else to accompany me. I have bad luck with making friends, and I'm afraid of bringing misfortune to the people around me, so I don't get too close to anyone. But, it's the end now. I'll be willful just this once. Ian cried and tried to stop me. Don't talk so much. I understand. Save some strength and rest. I shook my head. Ian, thank you for staying with me, but I really don't think I can hold on anymore. The bones all over my body ached every minute and every second. Now, death should be a relief for me. I trust you to handle the matters after my death. Just keep it simple, if possible. It would make me even happier if you could send me a bouquet of flowers every year. As for Fu Ci, please keep it a secret from him for as long as you can. It would be best if he never finds out. If he does, please tell him that I'm the one who was sorry for him first. And I don't blame him for everything he did to me. You still love him, don't you? I tried my best to open my eyes and said with my last bit of strength, I do. But he doesn't need to know. It was the waking of insects again. I finally felt the warmth of the sun. Fu Ci, I hope you live a long and healthy life. Fu Ci finished a day of tedious work and returned home. For some reason, he always felt a bit stuffy in his chest. Suddenly, there was a crisp sound from the study. He opened the door and found that the wind outside the window was howling fiercely, knocking over the potted plants on the shelf. It was the flower that Su Mion bought on the day she came back. He squatted down to clean up the fragments and potting soil all over the floor. Suddenly, the phone rang. Mr. Fu, have you seen the trending topic? A little girl with bone cancer passed away, and her family put her photos online. The person in one of the group photos seems to be Miss Su. Fu Ci panicked completely. He opened his phone and found that photo as quickly as possible. He zoomed in on it. In this photo, the wig the little girl was wearing was the same as the hair Su Mion had when he saw her in the hospital that day, and Su Mion looked haggard and emaciated. But when he saw Su Mion later, she didn't have such a sickly appearance. In just a moment, he realized, Su Mion, who loved beauty so much, would of course wear makeup. Fu Ci's eyes gradually turned red. He frantically called Su Mion's phone. No one answered. He called her manager's phone, but no one answered either. He immediately rushed back. He hoped she was still there, but in this huge city, he didn't know where to look for her. He could only return to the old rental house. He lay on that bed, all these years. Without Su Mion, he had suffered from severe insomnia. Only when he lay here did he feel at ease. He caught a glimpse of a piece of paper on the desk. There was a phone number written on the paper. Although it was crossed out, it was his only clue. He called the number. Zhongyang answered the phone. Su Mion didn't leave. Su Mion will stay here forever. In the 2 years after Su Mion's death, Fu Ci lived every day relying on the harsh words Su Mion once said. He deceived himself by saying that Soo Mi-yeon didn't love him, so he shouldn't care so much about her either, until one day, the manager received a call. The person said that they accidentally inherited Soo Mi-yeon's phone number, logged into Weibo, and found the draft box of her account. It recorded everything that happened to her since she got sick. The manager made the content public. 5 years ago, Soo Mi-yeon was just a new artist who had just entered the entertainment industry. She was set up and sent to the bed of the young master of a wealthy family. But in fact, nothing happened between them. Later, she was diagnosed with bone cancer. At that time, Fu Si was in a low period. She couldn't let him become even more depressed, so she forced him to grow up by breaking up with him. She was waiting to be cured of her bone cancer and meet him again, but fate never favored her. Her bone cancer worsened countless times. The words of confession that were on the tip of her tongue were finally suppressed in her heart due to various reasons in reality. In the draft box, there was also a love letter. The signature was from 10 years ago. She wrote it when she was in her sophomore year of high school. Fu Si, I love you very much, no less than you love me. At the same time, Song Yaro made a public announcement. She and Fu Si had never been together. Fu Si read that love letter countless times. Soo Mi-yeon, if I had known, I wouldn't have used such clumsy tricks to force you to love me. But now, I can't fulfill your wish. I'm coming to find you.